My parents didn't simply miss my wedding day, they completely disregarded it. There was no phone call, no explanation, just 3 vacant seats that stared back at me as I recited my vows in front of a room filled with people I barely knew. The attendees maintained their pleasant expressions as if everything was perfectly normal, but I could sense their sympathy in every glance, could feel it burning through the delicate fabric of my gown. I convinced myself that I was handling it well. That was a lie. 24 months later, after my $135,000 Porsche appeared on my Instagram feed, my mother Margaret finally reached out. Her tone sounded calculated and well-practiced. "We have matters to discuss, tomorrow at 2 for a family gathering." So I agreed to come. And believe me, I arrived completely prepared. Before I share what transpired at that meeting, go ahead and hit that like button and leave a comment letting me know your location. Have you experienced being overlooked until achieving success? Everyone loves to claim that family bonds are eternal. In our household, it always seemed like family actually meant Marcus. During my childhood years, absolutely everything centered around my older brother. His athletic awards, his academic achievements, his ambitious future plans. Dad referred to him as the pride of the Carter legacy, as though we belonged to some distinguished lineage instead of being an ordinary middle-class household in the Oregon suburbs. I was simply Emma, the reserved one, the supportive sister, the daughter who supposedly didn't require much attention because she had everything figured out. I would often sit on our living room carpet sketching designs while they rearranged the fireplace mantel to accommodate Marcus's newest trophy. The scent of Dad's cologne mixed with the distinct clicking sound of Mom's camera as she captured his every accomplishment. Those sensory memories are permanently etched in my mind. My art recognition certificate, the one my instructor claimed demonstrated remarkable talent, wound up stuffed inside a kitchen drawer beneath expired grocery coupons. I can still remember quietly asking if they might attend my school art exhibition that particular week. Mom never lifted her gaze from the stovetop. "We'll try our best, sweetheart. Marcus has his regional competition." That became our established pattern. His requirements came first, my aspirations came second. Even after I earned a complete academic scholarship to Stanford, the initial thing Dad mentioned was, "That's wonderful news. Perhaps Marcus could consider transferring there as well." It almost became amusing how their compliments always circled back to revolve around him. I eventually stopped seeking their validation. I taught myself to disguise my silence as inner fortitude. Many years later, after meeting Daniel, he immediately picked up on this dynamic. "You discuss them as if they're phantoms," he observed one evening. Perhaps they always had been. Still, when I telephoned to inform them about the upcoming wedding, I desperately wanted to believe they would actually show up. Mom's voice carried that polite yet distant quality, like she was simply checking items off her daily agenda. "We'll do our best to make it, honey, but Marcus's law firm is hosting an important event that same weekend." Dad's muffled commentary in the background. "Let her know we're occupied." I remember standing near the window with the phone pressed against my ear, staring at my own reflection in the glass, forcing my smile wider and wider, as if smiling hard enough might somehow trigger their guilt. It didn't work. On the morning of my wedding ceremony, I transmitted one final message. "Your seats are reserved in the front row." No response came. When those doors swung open, brilliant sunlight flooded into the vineyard venue. 90 guests turned their attention toward me. The atmosphere was filled with the fragrance of white roses mixed with champagne. Daniel stood waiting at the altar, his eyes filled with such genuine love that it nearly concealed the emptiness expanding inside my chest. 3 chairs remained unoccupied throughout the entire ceremony. When we shared our first kiss as husband and wife, I overheard someone whisper that she's incredibly strong. I wanted to explain to them that I wasn't strong at all. I had simply grown accustomed to the disappointment. Later during the reception, as Rachel lifted her champagne flute high, she proclaimed, "Here's to discovering the family who truly deserves you." Everyone applauded enthusiastically. I joined in the laughter. But somewhere deep inside, something fundamental shattered completely. 2 years passed, and I had constructed a life that didn't require their acceptance. At least, that's the story I kept telling myself. Portland during autumn possessed that gray yet determined type of beauty, as though the entire city was pushing forward through the persistent fog. My office occupied the 21st floor with glass walls providing views of the river below. On the day our acquisition deal finalized, the screen displayed Horizon Media Studios sold for $21 million. My entire team rushed in carrying champagne bottles, shouting to Emma Carter, the woman who created something from absolutely nothing. Glasses clinked together loudly. Music started blasting from somebody's phone. For several hours, I allowed myself to genuinely feel it. The accumulation of every late night working, every rejection letter received, every quiet victory that nobody else witnessed. After the office finally cleared out, I sat there alone, scrolling through the company's Instagram account. My reflection hovered over the city lights below. Without really thinking about it, I opened my personal account and uploaded a photograph of my new Porsche in metallic gray parked in front of my house. The caption simply read, "Dreams realized." It wasn't meant as bragging. It served as proof to myself that I had accomplished this without any help from them. 3 days later, my phone started buzzing during a morning strategy meeting, unknown number showing an Oregon area code. For just a moment, I assumed it might be some journalist. I answered it anyway. "Emma." My mother. Margaret's voice sounded soft and cautious, like someone carefully walking across broken glass. I went completely still. 5 years, not a single call, not one text message. "Mom, we need to have a conversation. Family meeting tomorrow, 2 o'clock sharp." I released a single laugh, a sound much sharper than I intended. After 5 years of complete silence, suddenly you want a meeting. "It's quite important," she stated, her tone clipped like some manager scheduling a performance evaluation. In the background, I could hear Dad instructing her to say it's urgent. I could easily picture them standing in that same old colonial-style hallway, calculating the extent of my success before determining how to exploit it. "What exactly is this about?" I asked. Her hesitation communicated everything I needed to know. "We'll provide all the details tomorrow." When the line disconnected, I simply stared at my phone screen. For an extended moment, I didn't experience anger or any sense of nostalgia, just a dull recognition of reality. They hadn't changed at all. They had seen the car photograph. They had done the calculations. Daniel glanced up from his laptop on the other side of the table. "Is everything all right?" I flipped the phone face down on the surface. "My mom is requesting a family meeting." He observed me carefully. "Are you planning to go?" "Yeah," I responded. "I think the time has come." That evening, I sat perched on the edge of our bed, scrolling backward through old photographs. My wedding bouquet, my team's first tiny office space, the Porsche beneath the sunset. 3 separate snapshots of my life, each one missing the exact same faces. My mother once commented that I was far too independent for my own benefit. Perhaps she had a valid point, but independence was the only thing that consistently appeared when I needed it. I opened my laptop and composed an email to my attorney. "Need to review the trust documentation before tomorrow morning, because if they were organizing a family meeting, I would be arriving armed with something more substantial than guilt." The following morning, I woke before my alarm sounded. The house remained quiet, just the gentle humming of the refrigerator and the sound of Daniel grinding coffee beans in the kitchen. I dressed like I was putting on armor. Navy blue suit, low bun hairstyle, heels that clicked with deliberate purpose. Daniel handed me a steaming mug. "You don't have to do this." "I do," I stated, sliding my phone into my bag. "But this time, I'm not attending as their daughter." He nodded once in understanding. "Remember exactly who you are. The drive to my childhood residence required 40 minutes. October sunlight. Filtered through the tree branches, soft but cold. Every passing mile felt like peeling away a protective layer I had worked extremely hard to develop. The closer I approached, the tighter my chest constricted. When the house finally came into view, it appeared smaller than my memories suggested, as if time had somehow reduced it down to its proper size. The white shutters, the brick front porch, those same hydrangeas Mom used to water each evening. Everything looked perfectly preserved, completely untouched by any sense of guilt. She opened the door before I could even knock. Her eyes immediately flicked past me, landing directly on the Porsche in the driveway. "You've certainly done well for yourself," she remarked. No hello, no greeting. "Yes," I answered, offering nothing more. Inside, the atmosphere smelled like lemon furniture polish mixed with control. The dining room table had already been arranged, papers stacked in neat piles beside Dad's coffee mug. He sat positioned at the head like this was some corporate board meeting. Marcus and his wife Jessica were already seated there, their faces arranged in polite masks of manufactured concern. Emma, Dad's voice carried that same authority it always possessed. We appreciate you making time on such short notice. I wasn't aware I actually had a choice in the matter, I said, taking the only empty chair available. He cleared his throat deliberately. Your brother has been dealing with certain financial setbacks recently. The twins' private school tuition has fallen behind, and their house, well, the mortgage payments are severely overdue. I folded my hands carefully on the table surface. And this concerns me exactly how. Mom quickly jumped in, her voice trembling right on cue. You're the one who's financially stable now. We thought perhaps you could provide assistance, just until circumstances improve. Family members help family, Marcus added, his tone dripping with entitlement. I let the silence expand and fill the room. Then I reached into my briefcase and removed a folder, placing it deliberately in the center of the table. Since we're apparently discussing family investments today, I wanted to share mine with all of you. I opened the folder to reveal the first page. Westfield Scholarship Foundation. $16 million trust. What is this? Mom asked, her brow furrowing deeply. A surprise, I said quietly. Since we're having conversations about family investments, I wanted to share what I've done with mine. Dad scanned the page, his confusion rapidly morphing into complete disbelief. $16 million, I stated. Every single cent, legally protected and dedicated to funding education for young women pursuing digital media arts. Marcus released a laugh, but it emerged thin and hollow. You must be joking. You placed $16 million into complete strangers. Not strangers at all, I corrected him. Girls exactly like me. Girls who were invisible inside their own homes. Mom's hand began trembling, noticeably. Emma, that's completely unwise. You could have helped your actual family instead of throwing it all away. I activated my phone, turning on the recorder positioned beside the papers. That small red light blinked steadily. Just for complete transparency, I'm recording this entire conversation so we're all absolutely clear about who requested what. Dad stiffened immediately. That's completely unnecessary. It's absolutely essential, I stated evenly. You've all made your expectations crystal clear. Now allow me to make mine perfectly clear. I leaned forward slightly in my chair. You missed my high school graduation ceremony. You skipped my college showcase presentation. You ignored my wedding completely. Every single milestone I searched for you. Every time you chose something else instead. So no, this money isn't intended for you. It's for the girls whose families can't see them either. Mom's voice cracked with emotion. We only did what we believed was best for everyone. No, I said quietly but firmly. You did whatever was most convenient for you. Marcus slammed his hand hard on the table. You think you're somehow better than us because you got lucky? Lucky, I repeated, almost laughing at the absurdity. You think working 3 separate jobs throughout college and sleeping in my car between classes was luck? You think every door slammed directly in my face was luck? No, Marcus. What I am is finished with all of this. For a prolonged moment, nobody moved at all. The tension hung in the air like thick smoke. Then I closed the folder, tucked it neatly back into my briefcase, and straightened my posture. You wanted to have a conversation about family. Here's my definition. Family actually shows up, and you didn't. Dad attempted one final card, his voice dropping low. Blood is thicker than water, Emma. Then you should have considered that before you diluted it completely, I responded. I walked toward the doorway. Behind me, chairs scraped harshly across the floor. You can't just walk out like this, Marcus shouted. I turned slightly, just enough to meet his eyes directly. I already did, 2 years ago at my wedding. The door clicked shut firmly behind me. Outside, the air felt sharp and clean against my skin. I could hear them arguing through the walls, voices rising into an indistinct blur of sound. In my car, my phone illuminated with a new email from Victoria Reed, my mentor. Foundation launch approved. Press release scheduled for tomorrow morning. Perfect timing indeed. The following day, the news spread rapidly. The Portland Business Journal published the headline, Self-Made Founder Transforms Pain into Purpose. The accompanying photograph showed me standing confidently beside the foundation logo, looking confident, collected, and completely untouchable. By noon, my inbox overflowed with messages, some offering congratulations, some expressing curiosity, a few containing bitter remarks. Among them appeared one from Mom. "You've humiliated this entire family." I didn't bother replying. That afternoon, a call came through from the front desk of my office building. "Miss Carter, your family is here causing quite a scene." Through the glass walls of my office, I observed them. Mom waving her hands dramatically, Marcus red-faced and angry, Dad attempting to maintain some semblance of control. My team froze completely, all eyes on me. I stood up straight, adjusting my jacket. "Have security escort them out," I stated calmly. Politely, but firmly. Mom's voice carried even through the thick glass. "She's abandoning her own family." I turned away, walking back toward my desk. "No," I murmured to myself. "I'm saving myself." Security personnel led them toward the elevators. The moment those doors closed completely, the entire office seemed to exhale collectively. Katie, my creative director, whispered quietly, "Are you okay?" I nodded with certainty. "Better than I've ever been." That evening, Daniel poured us 2 glasses of wine out on the balcony. The city lights shimmered far below us. "So that's it?" he asked. "That's it," I confirmed. "They showed everyone who they really are. I just made certain everyone else could see it too." He smiled warmly. "Revenge, your style." "Not revenge," I said, gazing out at the expansive skyline. "Redefinition." The next morning, the front page of the Chronicle featured my photograph again, this time beneath a new headline. "From ignored daughter to influential founder." Below it appeared a quote from my recent speech. "Family isn't who raises you, it's who lifts you up." And for the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt genuinely seen. Approximately 1 week later, Portland woke to steady rain, the kind that coated absolutely everything in silver. I watched it sliding down the tall windows of my office space. The city appeared blurred and quiet beneath the cloud cover. My inbox remained filled with congratulatory messages about the foundation launch, but my eyes kept drifting toward one particular unread message. The subject line stated "Family Emergency." I didn't open it. Victoria stopped by my office carrying coffee, her umbrella dripping water by the door. "You actually did it," she said simply. $16 million protected and purposeful. How does it feel?" "Different," I admitted. "Like I finally stopped auditioning for a role I never wanted in the first place." She smiled with knowing understanding. "Freedom always feels strange at first." That night, Daniel and I walked home beneath one shared umbrella. For once, I didn't check my phone constantly. The air carried the scent of wet cedar mixed with possibility. A few days later, news started spreading through various channels. Marcus's house entered foreclosure. Dad's firm under investigation for misused retirement funds. Mom selling her jewelry for immediate liquidity. The internet consumed it eagerly, but I didn't gloat whatsoever. I simply felt done. Their noise no longer reached me at the Women in Media Alliance Gala. I stood beneath soft lighting wearing a navy gown, accepting the Business Leadership Award. Camera flashes erupted constantly, but I spoke slowly and deliberately, letting every single word carry the weight of closure. For years, I chased approval that was never mine to earn in the first place. Now I use that energy to build something that actually lasts. The applause felt different than pity ever did. It represented genuine respect. After the ceremony concluded, a young filmmaker, barely 20 years old, approached me with shining eyes. "Miss Carter, your foundation means absolutely everything to me. My parents don't believe in what I'm doing, but your story." Her voice cracked with emotion. "It makes me believe in myself again." Her words struck somewhere deep inside, where that old, familiar ache used to reside. I placed my hand gently on her shoulder. "You don't need their permission to be brilliant." Back at home later, the award sat displayed on our mantel, right where Marcus's trophies used to dominate the space. Daniel caught me staring at it and asked if I was good. I nodded with certainty. Better than I ever thought I'd be. The next morning, I finally opened that family emergency email. It wasn't any sort of apology, just Mom's familiar tone, polished and manipulative as always. "We're struggling financially. Maybe we can talk soon." I drafted one single line in response. "When you start therapy, we can talk." Then I hit send and closed the laptop completely. Outside my window, the rain had finally stopped. Sunlight pushed through the clouds, glinting off the edges of the city like something being reborn. For the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel invisible anymore. 1 year later, I stood inside the Westfield Foundation's new studio space. White walls, glass ceilings, sunlight spilling generously over rows of cameras and laptop computers. Laughter echoed throughout the space as the first class of scholarship recipients worked diligently on their short films. I watched one girl adjusting her camera lens with that same nervous focus I once possessed. Ava, our youngest scholar, glanced up and smiled brightly. "Miss Carter, can you check this frame for me?" I leaned beside her, adjusting the lighting just a touch. "Perfect. You're seeing the world exactly how it should be seen." Behind us, a large banner read, "Family isn't who raises you, it's who lifts you." Daniel arrived carrying coffee, his grin easy and proud. "They're doing incredible work here," he commented. "They're doing what I wish someone had helped me do," I replied, watching Ava press the record button. Outside the studio, I could see my reflection in the glass, steady and calm. There were no missing faces in this picture, no empty chairs, no unreturned phone calls. Just a woman who stopped asking to be chosen and started choosing herself instead. That night, I posted a photograph of the foundation team with a caption that said it all. Some families are built, not born. If you've ever had to walk away from the people who made you feel small, this story is for you. Drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from, because your story might be the next one someone else needs to hear, and hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.